Okay. Sorry, I'm just like... Okay. I'm just like... Okay, so I think I mentioned that last episode that I was like, oh, I'm gonna mention... I know what I'm gonna talk about this episode. It was Star Citizen, and I was saving a thing. This week in Star Citizen is kind of barren. Last week I was complaining that there wasn't an Inside Star Citizen, and it's like, okay, 2 times in a row, and you're like, I think it's ridiculous.
Ecliptic put up a fight, that's for sure. Safe journey, then.
How that person is just like so disappointed that they're like, what? Why would you would show up, help us, and then not talk to us? Oh, okay. Oh, Jesus Christ. So sorry, yeah. Star Citizen. It's goofy to me that, like, they can't, like, I get the thing of, like, oh, Inside Star Citizen is, you know, the video team is running around interviewing people, and, like, how much stuff is there to interview, how often is there, like, an interesting story to get, you know, or whatever, and it's like, I don't know, and, like, of course, what they've also done is, like, instead of doing Inside Star Citizen, which is a, you know, pre-recorded show, and then Star Citizen Live that is a live recorded show, they're doing that, and that, they're doing, you know, they're doing an ISC, they're doing an SCL, they're doing it behind the ship, where they basically just advertise a new ship that's coming out, and, like, you know, that's all it is, and they're only doing one a week instead of trying to do multiple a week, which is absolutely fine, you know, like, okay, yeah, there's, like, more focus on bug fixing, there's not as much feature work being done, not necessarily as much interesting stuff, except, oh wait, they're doing content, so they could talk about content, and, like, this week they're doing a thing about hair. Cool, why couldn't we have done anything, like, and it's like, they couldn't have done a thing on the Antium armor, they couldn't have done a thing, like, specifically talking about the Volt Parallax. I mean, in all fairness, I think maybe they have talked about the Volt Parallax. They didn't really talk about the Antium armor. I mean, they showed it off at CitizenCon, but they didn't really talk too much about it. They didn't really talk about, like, oh, queerness tech, or queerness tech, oh, like, alright, so they have this one armor, how do we take that further, and, like, are we going and making sure that we're stepping in the right direction with them, you know, and that sort of thing. They could have talked about that. They didn't. They decided just to not do anything for ISC. And, like, there's also a thing of, oh, they're working on Squadron 42 coverage, which, like, well, for one thing, they haven't said that. That was just an assumption by a well-informed, I would say a well-informed content creator. No, actually, I think maybe they kind of... they might have kind of said that. The last IAE, they talked about why they didn't have... last IAE, they talked about... sorry. They were interviewing the dude who voices Jax McCleary, and they explicitly said that the reason they didn't have some of that content is because that team was focusing on Squadron. Though I guess that's not necessarily... That's not the same team that records the ISCs, I don't think. But I could be wrong. There's also, like, and there's also other things they could do. They could, like, review. They could, like, be like, okay, so what was the player perception to fight for Pyro? And that's one of the things that I really like about Star Citizen Live, and some of the ISCs were, like... the great thing about Star Citizen is that it's a live development game. And you do get some honest... Sometimes you get some honesty. You get some, like, real down-to-earth, just game developers being game developers. And, I mean, sometimes it gets taken out of context, and it's like, oh, the Odyssey is a Carrick killer. And, like, that's just one person's opinion, not necessarily what the balance is gonna be, or anything. I mean, that sort of thing happens, but also it's like, oh, this person, like, just really likes... Yeah, finally, something to actually really properly stand up against the Carrick. The Carrick isn't just the only game in town now, you know, or whatever. I love the sprint reports, and I feel like the sprint reports would be very interesting now. And granted, I mean, like, we're not getting more... The teams that are making content are still making the same amount of content. It's just there's more of a focus on Star Citizen or there's more of that content is being worked on for Star Citizen. So I don't know. Till next time, have a good day, great day even. Chowskis.